Hello, this is the Tradesight Forex Market Preview and International Economic Data Roadmap for the week beginning Sunday, September 29th, 2013, ending Friday, October 4th. Yes, that's right. We are heading into October, the last quarter of the year. Keep in mind, Monday is the last day of September, so if there's any end of quarter window dressing or just general flatness as prices are stuck for the end of quarter, that could apply to Monday's trading in the Forex market as well. Here's the dollar index daily chart, as we always like to start out with. You can see that we did get that 9-bar move down. It took us a little below this red static trend line that I was targeting, but we haven't actually confirmed the break of that. We've drifted higher ever since. So far this looks somewhat promising for us that we've held this level and starting to inch back up. But if you take the last 5 days as a whole, you can see we didn't really go anywhere. So there's nothing much to see there from that perspective. We'll take a look at the euro dollar chart. Again, fairly flat. You're going to see this very actively when we look at the intraday charts from this last week. Here's the Aussie dollar, drifted down a little bit this week. There are no key Comer or Seeker buy or sell signals out there in the market right now in the Forex markets to be aware of. So it's just pretty much straightforward trading session. Obviously, a lot going on here in the U.S. With the government shutdown conversation, and that may play a role here come Tuesday if they don't get this thing resolved. Evidently, right now the market thinks that they will. Here's the pound dollar, also fairly flat. Now let's take a look at some of the action during the week, intra-week. This is 30-minute bars. Now, this is the dollar index. And you can see didn't have a lot of range here. We stayed in the 80s, 80.70 down to 80.10. That's a less than a 1-point range on the dollar during the week. Here's the euro dollar. And again, this is actually only showing us, hang on, let me tighten this up just a bit here. Now you can see the whole week from last week. And if you look at the whole week, here's Sunday going to Monday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay, and pretty narrow in general. Top to bottom, what did we end up with? We ended up with a high of 1.3560 and a low of 1.3460. 100 pips of range for the whole week on the euro dollar. That's one of the narrowest we've seen in a while. So we remain half size under those circumstances. That's not a great trading environment, obviously. Remember, the euro generally over the course of a year trades about 120 pips of range per day. That doesn't mean 600 pips of range per week, but because there is some overlap. But you like to see those ranges be more like 300 for the week and 120 per day. We're not even getting a day's worth of range in a whole week right now. Pound dollar, a little wider, but about 170 pips for the whole week. And the move here was all on Friday. You can see that on the 30-minute chart, the 13 Comer sell signal right here in the middle of the week paused the market for a bit, but then we came back up on some news. So one quick look also at the Aussie for the week, another drift lower. This is not really exciting trading in my opinion, although we did all right this week with our calls, but certainly not the type of environment we like to see. Now, let's take a look at the economic data coming out this week, see what we have to focus on. Looking at the startup here on Sunday, we've got building consents out of New Zealand, Japan's manufacturing PMI, preliminary industrial production and retail sales also out of Japan, Australia's MI inflation gauge coming out tonight, and then private sector credit out of Australia. Got some manufacturing PMI data out of China also due, and that's about it. We look at going into tomorrow, housing starts out of Japan, German retail sales out of Europe, mortgage data out of the UK. None of that's very interesting to the Forex market. CPI flash estimate out of the out of Europe, and Canada's got their GDP, RMPI, and IPPI at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time Monday morning. We have Chicago PMI here in the U.S. at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. Then we jump to tomorrow night. We've got household spending and unemployment rate, manufacturing data all out of Japan, bank holiday out of China, but they're going to go ahead and release their manufacturing PMI data anyways that day. Retail sales out of Australia, 10-year bond auction out of Japan, rate announcement out of the Bank of Australia, then their commodity prices. Spanish manufacturing PMI out of Europe, and then Italian the same, German unemployment, and then the broad manufacturing data out of all of Europe. We've also got unemployment rate out of Europe coming at 5 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday morning. Tuesday here in the U.S., manufacturing PMI, ISM, services and manufacturing data, construction spending. We got total vehicle sales in the afternoon here in the U.S. None of these are huge for Forex. Monetary base out of Japan that night. Bank holiday again out of China. New home sales and trade balance out of Australia, obviously important to the Aussie traders. Spanish unemployment change out of Europe coming at 3 a.m. Eastern Time Wednesday. Halifax HPI and construction PMI out of the UK. PPI out of broad Europe. We've got the rate announcement out of the ECB at 7:45 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, and then their press conference shortly after that. Crude oil inventory is really the only data out of the U.S. of importance besides the ADP non-farm employment change data Wednesday. We got a speech from Fed Chairman Bernanke. Got, again, China on another holiday, so most of this week looks like China's out. Non-manufacturing PMI also released out of China. Germany's on a bank holiday on Thursday, and Spanish and Italian services PMI, along with final European services PMI, and the same for the UK, all coming out early Thursday morning here in the US. Retail sales out of Europe, French and Spanish 10-year bond auction, then the UK's 10-year bond auction. We got the usual weekly unemployment data out of the US, factory orders and ISM services number, natty gas, bank holiday out of China again, so yes, that's the whole week. You've got a statement, policy statement out of the Bank of Japan, and then their press conference going into Friday. Then US has our unemployment rate, non-farm payroll data. So that's going to be the primary focus. Friday's unemployment rate here in the US is our big number. We would be half size heading into that number. That's a once a month, one of our big three anyways. But again, I'm going to stay half size because the ranges have been so poor. Not really an environment to go full size yet. So I'd be less than half size for Friday, but that's the focal point for the week. You've got the end of quarter, Monday going into Tuesday, and you got the unemployment data Friday morning here in the US. Australia does their time zone shift for daylight savings next weekend, and we're still a couple weeks away from that here in the US, but we will see it in Europe over the next couple of weekends, and that does cause some awkwardness for the technicals for a couple days, so there's a little bit of slowness in the trading there until we get the US going after Halloween on their time shift as well. That's it. I mean, we focused on, obviously, I mean, not a lot to get too excited about with the ranges the way they are. We'll stay focused on that data we discussed, make our usual trade calls in the lab. As usual, these charts brought to you by eSignal 11. Have a great trading week. We hope to see you around.